Kevin Williams and Bob Batters here from the Shore Sports Network, getting you set for week 1 of Shore Conference High School football. Bob, week 0 in the books. 3 games, including one very good one in which Central beat Southern in overtime. But this is when it all begins, Friday night.
Yeah, this is the main course, as I like to say. The rest of the Shore gets going this week, and this is the week where all that promise, all the workouts in the off season. This is where we find out what these teams are made of starting in week 1. So it's going to be a lot of fun for sure.
Unlike a lot of college football teams who might open up with what you call cupcakes, it doesn't work that way in the Shore Conference. The schedule is the schedule. So we've got some really classic games in week 1, and I guess we have to start with 2 perennial powers located in Monmouth County, and that's Red Bank Catholic and Middletown South.
Certainly, and really a lot of the games you'll see, it's sort of a rivalry week. We only have so many Thanksgiving Day games. A lot of those got moved to week 1, and you see a lot of those big-time games here. And certainly with Red Bank Catholic and Middletown South, 2 perennial powers in the Shore. Middletown South, the defending Class B North champions. Red Bank Catholic 5-5 last year in the return of Frank Edgerly, but this is a team with a ton of promise, a team that a lot of people expect to return to that elite status in the Shore. They've got a ton of really good young players, besieged by injury last season, especially the quarterback position. Now they're all healthy and looking to make some noise. Middletown South is Middletown South. That's probably the best way to put it. A lot of new pieces on offense, but a big-time defense led by Jay Krellen, who's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Last year, that first game, Middletown South put a beating on them. So, RBC is going to want a little bit of revenge and kind of show everybody that a lot of the hype surrounding them is true.
Class B North might be the best division in Shore Conference football. That's not the only big division game this weekend. There's another one right in the division, and that is where Manasquan travels to Long Branch on Friday night.
That's a big one. Manasquan is defending Central as a Group 2 champions, really returned to glory last season, 10-2, and again, that state sectional title. And they bring back some key weapons, and they're going to look to make another run at a sectional title. But Long Branch is one of those teams we've been talking about throughout the offseason. Very intriguing. The Green Wave 2-8 last season. They've got a ton of big skill players back. They were really good in the offseason, the 7-on-7s. They won the Shore Conference 7-7 tournament. Won a lot of ones up at Rutgers, up at Kane. So that's something to watch there. They have a big offensive line. The question is, how quickly do they come together? How good is that defense going to be? And I think we're going to see on Friday night just what they can do. A lot of weapons on offense. Danny George was excited talking about them in the offseason. They've got a big test at Manasquan, but Manasquan also a big test in Long Branch coming in. So that's going to be a really good game and a telling game to start the year in B North.
And also in the division, a game we'll broadcast on the Shore Sports Networks 1160 and 1310, and that is Ocean at Wall. Brand new bleachers, press box, all the stuff at Wall. They were the defending sectional state champions. A lot of change there, including the head coach, Tony Grandinetti, who makes his head coaching debut for the Crimson Knights.
Certainly. Wall last season was another great story, just like Manasquan. 10-2, the state sectional championship, winning South Jersey Group 3. And again, you're right, a lot of change. Their head coach, from last year, Dan Curcione, is now at Donovan Catholic. Tony Grandinetti, who was the offensive line coach, takes over as the head coach. And they had a huge senior class that was instrumental in winning that state championship. So they've moved on, so a lot of new faces. But they've got some good ones back. Quarterback Eddie Scott. You have running backs Chavez Coven and Brady McNally. Linebacker Tim McKernan. They're going to look to keep it going there. Ocean, certainly a transition year for the Spartans. He graduated an all-time quarterback in Kenny Pickett, who's now a freshman at University of Pittsburgh. And Ocean lost in week 0 to Monmouth Regional, the first time since 2006. So they're reeling a little bit, looking to bounce back. And as you mentioned, Crimson Knights looking to break in some new facilities at home.
Let's move south a little bit. Class A South, which is where the bulk of the Ocean County schools reside. Toms River North, the 2-time defending division champs, coming off an 11-1 season, replacing a host of great players, travels to Southern Regional. The Rams lost a heartbreaker in overtime to Central last week. The difference there, a missed extra point, but a very impressive performance. And Southern will play a little bit desperate in this one. They don't want to go 0-2 in the division.
This is a very intriguing game because of its importance right out of the gate. For Southern, that was a team that lost a heartbreaker, 24-23 in overtime to Central. And the schedule early in the season for Southern, last year and now again this year, it's very difficult. You have that Central game, which is a big rivalry. Now Toms River North and Manalapan next week, which is our #1 team, looming. You don't want to start 0-3. Southern did it last year. They were able to go on a winning streak to make the playoffs, but you can't bank on that happening. So Southern comes in, maybe in desperation mode. They want to bounce back for that win. Meanwhile, Toms River North is just starting their season, so they need to try to match that intensity with a lot of new players. So that's going to be a very interesting game. And to me, a telling game in A South. To us, it's kind of wide open. Kind of waiting to see how it's going to break, and this one will tell us a lot come Friday night.
Two other A South teams will play on Saturday, Brick and Brick Memorial. That's an old-time Thanksgiving rivalry. Moved to week 1. It's produced some very exciting games. A lot of intensity, of course. A lot of the people in the Brick community will be out for that one.
And that's a big one. You know, one of the best rivalries in the Shore. They moved it to Saturday because it was so packed and it got so wild on Friday night. They need to have it during the day when the sun's out, and expect nothing less than a big crowd, you know, an intense rivalry there again. And, you know, Brick's a team that was in the sectional final last year, graduated a lot, but has an awesome junior class that's ready to bring them back. And Brick Memorial, 2-8 last season, you know, but they're looking like they're going to come back and try to make some headway in A South, led by, of course, their outstanding running back, Tony Thorpe. So that should be an exciting game. No matter what happens, you know it's going to be a great atmosphere.
And let's just briefly mention a Class B South game because of the interest there. Donovan Catholic and Barnegat. Donovan Catholic winless a year ago. New coach, Dan Curcione, state championship at Wall. His offensive coordinator, Chip LaBarker, has won a couple of those at a couple of different places. And, of course, a lot of interest in the Griffin program, some new players, and maybe disrupting things in Ocean County football a little bit.
Certainly, and I think the interest in Donovan Catholic is only natural from the sense that, you know, you have a coach that just won a state championship coming in, and with him, you know, offensive coordinator Chip LaBarca Jr., as you mentioned, is a state championship winning coach as an assistant and as a head coach. So you have that dynamic, and then also, let's face it, the Catholic schools, you know, they can get good very quickly. You know, we've seen it in the Shore Conference with St. John Vianney, and most recently Mater Dei, which went from an also-ran, you know, that had a good season, but to a 12-0 undefeated team. So I think now everyone's waiting, okay, Donovan Catholic, how good are they going to be, and how quickly are they going to do it? We'll see, you know, a little bit of a transformed Griffins program against Barnegat.
Week 1, we try and get you set. Of course, you can go on shoresportsnetwork.com, get details on the entire schedule. Also, our picks for this weekend's games. Who do we like? Check it out, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for catching us on the Shore Sports Network.